Cool. So I am just going to go ahead and get started. If at any point you can't hear me, just pop it in the chat. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I'm really excited to share this Self-Worthy series with you. It's something that I'm really passionate about. And it's also something really outside of my comfort zone. So thank you for being here with me. So today is episode 2, where I'll be going over self-connection. So if you have not yet watched my first episode on self-awareness, I invite you to check out the link in my bio. On the top, it says Self-Worthy series, and that is my first episode. So this episode is going to be a lot shorter. The first episode kind of talks about my childhood and my father's suicide and me overcoming my addictions and what led me to become a holistic health coach and kind of deep dive into my own personal development, and then goes into the self-awareness topic. So that one's a lot longer. These next ones are going to be definitely shorter. So I'm just going to recap what the pillars of self-worth are. So every Sunday at Central Standard Time, at noon Central Standard Time, I'm going to be going live to bring you these different pillars. So to recap, they are awareness, connection, forgiveness, acceptance, compassion, trust, respect, self-belief, value, and love. So before we talk about self-connection, I also want to talk about another concept that is really important for people, I think, to understand. And it's also something that I use in my style of coaching. I highlight it on my website. It's something that is really, really important for my style of coaching, and that is bioindividuality. So the concept of bioindividuality is that each person has their own unique food and lifestyle needs. So one person's food might be another person's poison. And that's why fad diets tend to fail in the long run. So it's all about meeting you where you are and finding what works specifically for you. Not like, oh, this person's out here doing this person's out here doing this. It's all about you and your needs. So I'll go over different approaches and strategies that might not be the answer for you. However, I do invite you and challenge you to start to explore small changes that you can make in your daily routine and implement in your overall life. So going into self-connection, psychologist Christine Klussman is a connection researcher, author, and speaker that I follow her work, and she's phenomenal. So I encourage you to follow her on social media as well. So she gives a long list of definitions for self-connection. So I'm just going to go over that with you really quick. So self-connection is a state of being, one where you regularly tune in to your own emotional, spiritual, and physical needs and honor them in your daily actions. You listen to your intuition, which is like your gut instincts. You know what is right or wrong for you. So tuning into that. You inhabit your physical body. You're able to quickly pinpoint what's hurting your feelings. You're also able to identify what kind of movement your body is aching for, when you need alone time, and how what you're doing in this moment fits in to your larger life purpose. Again, it's a heightened sense of being. When you live a self-connected life, you value your time and you use it wisely, furthering the causes and the priorities that you care most about. So really think about that. Start to think about, again, I went over in my last episode, what your values are. So start to think about what your core values are, and also think about what brings you joy. So you make time for meaningful activities and avoid the meaningless. You're clear on what matters to you. And you have a strong internal compass that alerts you to when you're getting off track. You feel fulfilled both in the moment and in the big picture of your life because you are tending to your deepest needs. So you also take care of your health and nourishing nutritional habits, regular physical activity again, and your sleep habits that keep your unique body performing at its best. You also connect with your emotional health, regularly checking in with yourself to address any unmet needs or unresolved issues. You recognize and express your emotions. You take time to reflect and to be grateful, and you're honest with yourself and with others. You cultivate a limitless curiosity when it comes to learning about yourself, about others, and the world around you. So you might be transported to a sense of flow when you're dancing or creating art or whatever, or find this oneness when you're walking in nature. That might be you, that might not, but you are proficient in the language of you. And you quickly pick up on what works for you and what doesn't. So self-connection impacts every area of your life, from your mental and physical health to the satisfaction that you derive from social connection, work, and hobbies. So there's a couple of ways that I practice self-connection. And again, since I do have some trauma from my childhood, the biggest thing that I do is connect with my inner child. So I have formulated a dialogue with myself, and I encourage you to do the same. So I have younger siblings. I have 4 younger sisters and a younger brother, and I work a lot with kids. So I treat my younger self almost like she's my younger sister or even my own daughter. So I start to have conversations with myself and have a dialogue that expresses love and compassion and things like that. I love you. I hear you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Having conversations like that with myself. I also have a lot of photos of myself when I was a child, and that's something new. I never really had young photos of myself around my apartment of when I was younger, but now I have a lot of photos because it makes me feel, connected to that little girl. So here's a fun one. So this is me, I used to sit at this little table and color. So I really just look at that little girl and I think about what her needs are and what she wants and what brings her joy. So again, having those photos to kind of help me connect with her. Another thing is engaging in meditation as well is something that you can do. But it's funny that yesterday my mom came over and she brought me all of these, things from my childhood that really made me feel connected again. These letters from Santa that were actually left by my father before he passed away. So I loved looking at these letters and just, again, feeling connected to him and connected to how I felt as a child. So that was really cool. She also brought some of these old letters from camp. So that was really fun, just reading those old letters and, again, just feeling connected to my inner childhood self. This one I thought was really funny, this letter to the Tooth Fairy. So, and look at my horrible writing. So I just want to read this really quick because I thought it was pretty funny. To Tooth Fairy. And instead of putting 2 O's, I drew teeth. To Tooth Fairy. I lost my tooth, but when I was washing the blood, spelled B-L-U-D, off of it, it fell down the drain. I love you. So it's just fun to, go through this stuff and just, again, it's all about connecting with yourself. So that also brings me to my next point of connecting with my younger self. So I went over it a little bit more in full detail in my first episode, but I was diagnosed with scoliosis, so I had to wear a back brace for 8 years, and it was just really embarrassing in like gym class, and I was really limited in my movement and things like that. So when I was younger and I just felt like really weak, and my body just couldn't move and perform like all the other kids. So now I work out a lot with a personal trainer. And yes, I want to feel healthy and strong and things like that. But the real reason why I enjoy working out so much is because it makes me feel connected to my younger childhood self. So when I'm like on my last rep and I think that I can't push any further, I literally close my eyes and I channel that little girl that always felt like her body couldn't perform, or she felt really weak and tired. So I work out to almost make that younger childhood self, proud of myself. So I really love doing that. And then also I started doing bar class and just videos online and yoga, because when I was a little girl, and here again is a picture. So this is a photo of my dad, my mom, my little sister Gerald, and then this is me as a little ballerina, a gingerbread girl in the Nutcracker Ballet. And I wanted to be a ballerina when I was younger. That brought me joy. That's something that I loved doing. But after my dad died, my life got a little messy and complicated. So now when I do bar class and yoga class, it helps me feel more connected to that little girl. So another way that we can connect to ourselves and bring ourselves love and nourishment is with the food that we eat. So what we eat is the most essential form of nourishment. But unfortunately, our relationship with food has gotten complicated, and our food supply system, I can go on for days about that, that's really muddled, and our emotions about food is muddled too. So essentially our bodies use the elements in our food, the vitamins, the minerals, the phytochemicals, regulate all of our bodily functions. So it's also very important, the GI flora, the bacteria that lives in our GI tract, interact with our food and perform different functions, including nutrient absorption, serotonin production, and regulates our immune system. So the food that we eat has direct connection with how we feel, our sleep, and our energy level. I always say that you're not what you eat, you are what you absorb. So those nutrients being absorbed into your body. Again, going back to the GI flora, we actually have more bacteria in our bodies than human cells. So we're actually made up of more bacteria than like our own human cells, which I think is like pretty cool. And these bacteria perform different functions, especially in our gut. So when we eat a whole nutrient-dense diet with unprocessed foods, we create an environment in our bodies where we can work optimally, allowing our hormones to fire and respond appropriately, and it helps regulate our immune system and is well tuned and not over responding. We sleep well, our blood sugar is stable, and we have great energy. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is incorporating some like little self-care regimens. So something that I like to do to feel connected to myself a little bit is after I take a shower. I like to use, and you can use like any lotion, like whatever you want, but I use this de-stress muscle gel It says, experience the warming and easing powers of rosemary, black pepper, lavender, and ginger to de-stress the body after spending too long in one position or too much physical activity. So think about if you could just have like a 5-minute neck massage from someone every day, like how fantastic would that be? That would be, phenomenal, right? Like just to like have someone come over, give us a little like neck tune up every day. Why can't we do that for ourselves? Why can't we take 5 minutes and just give ourselves, that comfort, that connection of being in our own physical bodies? So that's something that I started doing again to help develop my self-connection, is just giving myself a little neck massage. Something else that I noticed as I was doing, self-care routines, like doing my shower or like face wash or, a mask or whatever, something that I noticed about myself was that I was really aggressive. I'm like, okay, I'm doing all of these things because it's self-care and I'm supposed to, because it's supposed to make me feel better, right? But then I noticed that, again, I was just being really aggressive with myself. So taking the time to be gentle with yourself and give yourself kindness and compassion, it's all about your intentions. So if you're just doing self-care because you're supposed to do self-care, that's not really gonna necessarily help you. It's all about the intention of connecting with yourself and taking the time and being gentle with yourself. So the last thing that I wanted to leave you with is some affirmations. So if you've never practiced affirmations before, that's fine. And again, bioindividuality, it's these different phrases and concepts that connect specifically with you. So I encourage and invite you to explore different affirmations that might make you feel better. So I actually have the affirmations I'm about to share with you. I actually wrote them on little cards and then I strung them. I can post it later, but in my side room, and I can look at them every day. So every day when I'm meditating, I read these affirmations to myself. And again, this is something that I talked about in my first episode, but when you start to tell yourself kind things and you start to practice gratitude and self-connection with yourself, your brain literally starts to create new connections. So the affirmations that I tell myself on a daily basis are, I am grounded and centered and balanced. My breath brings me peace and stillness. I nurture myself and take care of my well-being. I honor my body as the temple that nourishes my soul. My ability to conquer my challenges is limitless, and my potential to succeed is infinite. My strength is greater than my struggles. I use that one all the time when I'm like, I'm having a hard time. This is not easy. This is not fun. I say my strength is greater than my struggles a lot. I am grateful for the love and the patience that I give myself. I release my negative thoughts, embracing positivity and optimism. I am open and receptive to all the good and abundance in my life. I am grateful for adversity because it allows me to grow. I radiate health and vitality. I have enough. I do enough. I am enough. So again, just changing the relationship and the conversation and the dialogue that you have with yourself, instead of all these like negative things, the comparison games, like all of that, like not having it anymore. So again, just saying kind things to yourself. Also, yesterday being the day after Christmas, I always get a little bit depressed. I always get a little bit depressed the day after Christmas, and it's always kind of like emotionally draining because I think about my dad not being here. It was my, Christmas would have been my grandfather's 91st birthday and he wasn't here with us. So it was, a little emotional. But on Christmas, I'm with all my family and it's a good time. And, I love being with my family and everything, but it is a little bit of a distraction. So yesterday, my boyfriend was at work all day and I was feeling sad. So I literally took the time all day, no music, no TV, and just sat alone with myself. And I took a couple little naps because when I get really emotionally overwhelmed, I get really fatigued. And so noticing that that's how I'm feeling and that's what my body needs and allowing that for myself and honoring that for myself without any judgment, without, beating up on myself. Also, not only being able to recognize that I'm feeling sad and allowing myself to just sit with the sadness. I don't need to tell myself the stories, I'm sad because of this, I'm sad because of that. Just sitting alone, quiet, and sitting with the uncomfortability of that emotion. And emotions aren't good or bad. They're usually trying to tell you something. But also being able to communicate that with my partner. Anytime I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling upset or I'm feeling a certain way, I always communicate it first with myself. I might journal, write something down, and tune in with myself. And then I communicate it with my partner. Hey, Steve, I'm feeling really sad today. And then he kind of knows where I'm at. And then, he knows to kind of give me a little bit of space or whatever. So really tuning in to your own emotions and being able to sit quietly with yourself is really going to help you connect more with yourself. So, that's really where I'm going to leave it today. Again, my first episode was super long, so I wanted to make these episodes a little bit shorter. And then next week, I am going to be going over forgiveness. So that's, I'm really excited about that episode because I think forgiveness and shame kind of go hand in hand. If you want to go through your healing journey, I have a lot of shame from my childhood and all of the things that I didn't accomplish. So really being able to forgive yourself and have those conversations with yourself, I'm really excited to share that with you guys. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be posting this video in my link in bio so you guys can check it out later. Another thing that I'm really excited to share with you guys, I wanted to release it this week, but with the holidays and everything, it was a little crazy. But this week, I am going to be launching my new transformational email education series. So I'm really excited about that. I worked really hard on it. So if you guys want to DM me and leave your email address, I would love to share some different things from this episode, but then also if you want to sign up for my email series, you can do that too. So again, thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next week.